ever heard someone say, Filipino English sounds a bit off? Maybe too sing-sanji, a little too casual, or just plain wrong. Well, for decades, that's exactly what many people thought. Critics, both local and foreign, often dismissed it as informal, even broken. But what if I told you this unique way of speaking English once caught the ear of a world leader and completely changed the game? Buckle up, because this is the incredible story of how Filipino English went from being the underdog to stealing the international spotlight. Our story begins in the Philippines, an archipelago with over 100 languages. English arrived with the Americans in the early 1900s. Unlike in other colonies, the US made English the language of education for everyone, not just the elite. They sent over thousands of American teachers, called the Tamasites, who spread out across the islands. The goal was to unify the country with a common language. But here's where things get interesting. Language isn't just a set of rules you memorize. It's alive. It breathes, it adapts, and it soaks up the culture around it. So, as Filipinos learned English, they didn't just copy it. They made it their own. They started mixing in words from Tagalog, Cebuano, and other local languages. The grammar started to bend, and the intonation took on a musical quality, reflecting the melodic nature of Filipino tongues. Nouns became verbs, like let's go Xerox this document. Prepositions were used in new ways, like I'll go ahead. And of course, there are the classic fillers we all know and love, like ano diba, and expressions like for a while, instead of just a moment, or open the light, instead of turn on the light, became commonplace. To an outsider, it might sound quirky, but to Filipinos, it was just natural. It was English, but with a Filipino heart. For a long time, this was a source of insecurity. In schools, students were drilled on perfect American or British pronunciation. Call centers trained their agents to neutralize their accents, aiming for a generic, placeless sound. The message was clear. Your natural way of speaking English isn't good enough. It's not professional. It's not world class. This created a strange divide. People would speak one way with their friends and family, and a completely different, more rigid way in a formal setting. Filipino English was seen as something to be corrected, a flaw to be ironed out. It was the language of the home and the street, but not the boardroom or the world stage. That perception was deeply ingrained. Many Filipinos themselves believed it. They'd poke fun at thick accents, or what they called Carabao English, a term for speaking broken, ungrammatical English. It became a social marker. The more Americanized your accent, the more educated or sophisticated you were perceived to be. This linguistic cringe, this feeling of embarrassment about one's own way of speaking, was a real and powerful force. But language, like culture, is resilient, and all it took was one unexpected moment to challenge everything. The year is 1966. The place, Manila. The Philippines is hosting a major international summit, and the guest of honor is none other than the President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson. It's a huge deal. The Cold War is raging, and the Philippines is a key American ally in Asia. All eyes are on this event. The pressure is immense. The Filipino government wants everything to be perfect. They want to showcase the Philippines as a modern, sophisticated nation. And a big part of that is how they communicate. The assumption was that to impress the American president, they needed to speak flawless, American-style English. President Ferdinand Marcos was set to give a major speech. His wife, the First Lady, Imelda Marcos, was the nation's hostess. She was known for her charm and elegance, and she was determined to make a good impression. But the person who would unknowingly become the star of the show wasn't a politician. It was a journalist, a Filipino journalist tasked with covering the event live on television, broadcasting to the nation, and, crucially, to the international press corps, including those traveling with President Johnson as the event unfolded. This journalist did what he did best. He reported. He described the scene, the motorcades, the handshakes, the atmosphere, but he wasn't using the stiff, formal English taught in textbooks. He was speaking naturally. He was using Filipino English. He spoke with its characteristic rhythm, its unique expressions, and its warm, conversational tone. He might have said something like, "The president is now alighting from his car. Diba, what a moment for our country." Or maybe, "Let's wait for a while as they prepare for the welcome ceremony." He was speaking from the heart, in the language he and his viewers understood best. Back in the control rooms, and among the event organizers, there must have been a sense of panic. This wasn't the polished, proper English they wanted the world to hear. They probably thought it was a disaster, that it sounded unprofessional and informal. They were worried the Americans would laugh, that they would see the Philippines as a backward, provincial place. They braced themselves for the worst. But President Johnson's reaction was the complete opposite of what they feared. According to the accounts of those who were there, President Johnson, a Texan known for his own folksy, down-to-earth manner of speaking, was utterly captivated. He was listening to the broadcast, and he reportedly turned to his aides and asked, "Who is that commentator? I can understand him perfectly. He's speaking my language." Think about that. He didn't say, "His grammar is off." He didn't say, "What a strange accent." He said, "I can understand him." More than that, he felt a connection. The warmth, the clarity, and the directness of Filipino English cut through all the formal diplomatic jargon. It was genuine. It was real. President Johnson was so impressed that he specifically asked to meet the journalists. This was unprecedented. A world leader, in the middle of a high-stakes diplomatic visit, wanted to personally meet a local TV reporter because he liked the way he spoke English. When they finally met, Johnson shook the journalist's hand warmly and praised him, saying his commentary was the clearest and most effective he had heard. He loved that it was straightforward and easy to follow, without the stuffy, overly complex language that often fills the air at such events. That single moment sent a shockwave through the Philippine media and cultural landscape. It was a massive, external validation from the most powerful man in the world, the very thing that people were insecure about: the musicality. The unique phrasing, the supposed informality, was what made it so effective. It was a wake-up call. Maybe, just maybe, their way of speaking English wasn't wrong after all. Maybe it was just different, and maybe different was actually good. This event became a turning point. It didn't magically erase all the linguistic insecurity overnight, but it planted a powerful seed of pride. Journalists and broadcasters started to feel more confident using their natural speaking style. The idea that there was only one correct way to speak English began to crumble. Academics started studying Filipino English, not as a collection of errors, but as a legitimate, rule-governed variety of the English language. Just like Australian English, Indian English, or Singaporean English, it has its own vocabulary, its own grammar, its own phonology. It's a complete system. Today, the legacy of that moment is everywhere. Filipino English is recognized as one of the major world English. The call center industry, which once tried so hard to erase the Filipino accent, is now one of the biggest in the world. And what's their secret weapon? Empathy. The warmth and politeness embedded in Filipino English make agents incredibly effective at customer service. Companies have realized that a neutral accent isn't as important as a clear, friendly, and empathetic voice qualities that come naturally in Filipino English. When you hear a Filipino say for a while, you know they mean please. Wait a moment, I'll be right with you. When they say oh God, it's a polite way of taking their leave. These aren't mistakes. They are features of a vibrant, living language. They are echoes of Filipino culture that values politeness, community, and indirect communication. The sing-song intonation, it makes the language sound less aggressive and more approachable. The use of sir and ma'am, it's a sign of respect, deeply ingrained in the culture. So, the next time you hear Filipino English, don't hear it as broken or informal. Hear it for what it is: a unique and powerful communication tool. It's a language forged in history, shaped by culture, and validated on the world stage. It's a testament to the creativity and adaptability of the Filipino people, from the classroom to the call center, from the streets of Manila to the world of global business. Filipino English is not just surviving, it's thriving. It's a language that proves that communication isn't about speaking perfectly. It's about connecting genuinely and effectively. And as President Johnson discovered all those years ago, sometimes the most informal way of speaking is the most powerful way of all. Thank you so much for watching. What are your favorite Filipino English expressions? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories you might not have heard before. See you in the next video.